show. Well, it's not really a show. It's just two guys talking like everybody else that's in quarantine. We've got nothing better to do with our time. So we're just going to talk shit and we're going to call it a show for now. Right. So
Exactly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering who that is Werner Weber, fellow comedian and all around, really is a good guy. Really is a good guy. And, well, we're going to get into more of him. But actually, you know what? Watch the previous episode I have of him. He explains a lot about what he does and all that stuff. So go check that out, rather. And then you can follow up here. So, yeah, this is a new show, as Venner just said, as we call it Let's Talk, because we're going to find interesting topics to talk about, whether it be politics, conspiracy theories. We're going to just do some thought-provoking things, and I think that is really cool, because we can really dive into those things that you may be wondering about, that you're seeing and you don't understand. So, ladies and gentlemen, also don't forget that you can comment and ask us questions at any time. If you see something on the screen right now that's really interesting or you want to ask us something, please do. Also, just so you know that today and for other Let's Talk shows, when we have them, you can donate to us. We're going to split the proceeds 50-50 because Venner especially does a lot of, like, okay, it's his hobby and it's what he does, but he's the brain behind this whole thing. I'm the idiot that's going to ask questions, and he's basically going to talk us. He's going to educate us.
You are putting way too much pressure on me. You really need to stop. First of all, you called me good, and now you said I've got brains. So that's like two things I have to live up to.
And he's also funny. All right, so hopefully we'll get some comments and stuff. But let's start with the topic that we're going to talk about today. And Venner, I'm going to let you answer the following. What is that topic? How did it start?
Well, I think before we get into today's topic, it's because let's just go through what's happening in the news.
Okay.
Let's just kind of see what's happening in the news, and then we just kind of just see what's happening, and then we get completely off track and come to completely absurdity, or what most people would, So we're gonna look at what is mainstream right now, and then we're gonna go completely opposite to that.
Cool. Let's do that.
All right.
You're the captain.
So let's quickly do a little. I'm just gonna hit up. Let me just get to the right place first. Start sharing. You let me know when you can see, and I think we can just kind of like flick through what's happening in the mainstream media, and I think you can see we're there on Russia Today. Yeah, we got Russia Today, so we can obviously see their leading piece, COVID-19 pandemic. We see North Korea setting up. Post-COVID-19, so obviously it looks like they want to throw some rockets at people after everybody's healed. And then there's Warren wants to wait until the last man standing. So there's little Warren and Biden. Biden, man, what's your take on Biden?
My take, I think he's an idiot.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, right. Personally, I just don't like his touchy-feely kind of vibes. But anyway, let's move on.
Trump calls him Sleepy Biden, which I really like.
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe, yeah.
Yeah. And see, a cure worse than the disease. The UK lockdown could cause 150,000 avoidable deaths, more than the virus it may stop. And we kind of hearing similar rantings from our side of the world. So this is, pretty much all the COVID. Let's see, Al Jazeera English there. It's all pretty much COVID as well. CNN, all pretty much just COVID. There we have a little orange man bad pointing at the bad CNN and fake news. You're a fake news. Also COVID, and then let's see. Fox will obviously be slightly different. They generally tend to be. They sometimes can be a little bit surprising. I don't know. They let you believe they're quite right, and then sometimes they do this little like fake left. I don't know if you've experienced that as well.
Yeah. Slightly, yes. They do come. They do surprise.
So they don't seem to lead so much with the COVID stuff. Time big there, you're gonna get a needle in your arm. There we go. Huffington Post, grim 2 million corona cases, doubled in 2 weeks. It's so it's quite obviously just bad news, more bad news, more bad news, just more bad news. Okay, I think we can kind of stop there, right? So we kind of get the sense of right now the mainstream says everything is just bad. It's horrible news, right? So I'm not gonna argue. So without wasting more time around that, unless there's something you want to comment around the mainstream, what's happening and COVID, I know most of us don't really want to talk about it because it's such a hot topic. And if you dare say something out of official lines, then you can get a serious rap over the knuckle. So, maybe that's a hot potato I'd like to avoid.
Yeah, speaking of that hot potato, we're actually not allowed, or I wouldn't say not allowed, but YouTube has changed their algorithms that if you mention that, you can say virus. If you mention the
Mm.
virus, they basically try and hide your video. So
Okay.
that's how I feel about that. Like, I think that's ridiculous, but then again, private company can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah. Of course.
but in terms of mainstream media, dude, I don't trust mainstream. I mean, I like to look at it from time to time just to know what's being said. I think that's important. You need to know
Mm.
what is being said in the
Of course.
world. Sometimes, on occasion, especially in recent years, they do get it right some way. But a lot of it, I think, is feeding an agenda. That's how I feel.
Mm. Yeah.
It's best to just get as much information from different sources as
Yeah.
possible.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, I mean, we can kind of see, you just look across the internet and it's all pretty much the same. You're getting the same message, which is, it's given it's the kind of times that we're in, maybe it's not unwarranted. But I think for the most part, that's pretty much the standard that you get.
Mm.
But also, most media companies belong to 6 companies, so you're gonna get the same message. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's drop into today's topic, which is conspiracy theories, which is, again, it's my little hobby, it's my passion. Um, I think maybe it's important again just to give my background a little bit, so I'm not just yes, I enjoy conspiracy theories. I've gone through pretty much everything from Bigfoot to Nessie to UFOs and Roswell and Earth, so I've gone through a lot of them, and I have been researching this particular one, QAnon, for well the better part of 3 years, since just after the first sort of rumblings of it started in October 2017. So I think you asked the question earlier, what's the sort of elevator pitch for what is QAnon, and as a lot of people in the QAnon movement say, it is a military intelligence information dissemination program, and that's
In
probably the shortest possible sentence in which way I can put it without trying to add gumph to it. So if that doesn't pique your interest,
It should.
ooh,
It should.
oh, are you saying this is a military intelligence product? Well, yes, 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 I am. Of course, I am. I'm interested.
Oh, tell me more, good sir. Tell me more.
Okay, so that is what is claimed, of course, and with each claim comes, you have to kind of have the proof behind it. And this is a difficult thing to prove because nobody knows who Q is. Nobody knows who's making the drops. Nobody. There's we've been said it's a small group of less than 10 people that know the complete disseminating program and information and how everything plans out, and that one of them is Donald Trump, or as they would say, Q plus. Sorry, I just want to quickly get a jersey. I'm getting a little bit chilly here. Give me a
No worries.
second.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that you can donate to us. Proceeds split 50-50. And don't forget that you can ask us questions at any time. Don't be shy. Anybody watching, ask us questions. If you're intrigued by what we were talking about, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We do this. We're going to try and do this at least once a week, or at least at minimum once a month. We'll get together and discuss other conspiracy theories. So comment and let us know what other conspiracy theories you'd like to hear about.
Oh yeah. That's good. I mean, we don't. I mean, we can talk about all of them.
Mm.
They are so much fun. Some of them are obviously good, not bullshit. Um, and I think for most outsiders that look or just hears that, maybe they would also just kind of just write it off as hogwash. And um, I think if you're into conspiracy theories, what you generally start off doing is you start with the first thing is to try and disprove it
Mm.
because that's the easiest thing you do. You kind of go down.
So when 9/11 happened, that's really when I got into conspiracy theories because years after, I think it was like maybe 3, 4 years after it happened, that's when, like, when it was like time of the war and stuff like that, that's when all those rumors started to surface. Like, I'll say rumors. Um, and you're right. When I was like, oh, no, that's not true. Demolition. What? No, that's not. No, I'm going to try and disprove this,
Mm.
and then that opened up the hatch. It's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. And you obviously you can only rely on what you can find. Some of the stuff. Yeah. So I've got a technical background. So I'm a software engineer. Uh, I also do what we call DevOps, which is do operational deployment of software in the cloud. So um, I to put it like it's modern day web applications. They don't work in the old traditional sense. Where you had a server in a building somewhere where um, that was your server and it's a physical box and it had its and if that thing fell over you had to get another. It's all kind of virtualized and you have a whole host of various tools that you can use to manage your infrastructure in order to cater for large volume types. So most of your modern e-commerce systems, most of your modern digital platforms that do high volume systems, they run in what we call these cloud computing type systems, where they scale elastically as demand right. So you don't have to get your systems up on new hardware. So it's quite a technical thing, but it's what has allowed the industry to be really responsive to users' needs. So you didn't have to fork out thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a server up front. You start off paying like $40 a month. If you've got a tiny little server, maybe serving 500 users or something like that. Depending on your applications, and so you go up. And if you have upwards of 12,000, 20,000 concurrent connected users to your system, that is a sizable platform. That's something that you're spending probably, and I'm thumb sucking here. I mean, I can go onto the Amazon AWS machines. I can go and calculate, roughly, how much they're spending in data transfer, but they're probably not spending anything less than 2,500, 3,000, maybe upwards of $5,000 a month.
Sure. That's quite an investment.
It's it's not peanuts.
No, 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 no.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially in South
Um,
Africa, that's not.
They also have applications, an Android app which is free now. It used to be like 40 odd rand, so it's probably like $2, $5 or something like that.
Mhm.
It's now free, and these are high quality internet applications. I've looked at the backend, I've looked at the code, I've looked at how they communicate, I've looked at where they are deployed. This specific instance is hosted in Ashton, close to Washington, in an AWS center, which you can't really get a lot of information about.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean it's like all these little things, little things, little things, little things. So the code in itself is exceptionally clean. I
Mm.
mean, I mean, there is not a hint or of who wrote it. So it's completely anonymous.
Wow.
So it's clean as a whistle. In terms of where the source data is, you can get right to the source data right via navigating the system, but at no point in time do they actually leave fingerprints about like who wrote it, who put the thing together and so on. And it's very well done. I mean, I've been building software and web-based systems for about 22 years now, and it's high performance, it's fast, it's well done, it's simplistic, it's very easy to navigate, all the things that you need for a modern day web type application, web consumption. The searches are incredibly fast, which implies they have something like an elastic search or something at the back that indexes all of the content. So if I go and just for argument's sake, just search Soros, and I do a search there.
Oh, Uncle Soros, yeah.
Right. So that is pretty quick.
Wow.
And that is quite a lot of content to index, and it highlights it, and it has these kind of infinity scrollers, right? So, and I mean, without going into the content itself, to put this site together technically, in the way that it's been done it's and I can tell you it's good. It's exceptionally good. So somebody spent a lot of money getting this thing available to a lot of people. I mean, look at the translations.
Wow. So it will translate every post that you see there in that language.
It will translate a lot of the content. It will translate a lot of the headings. So and granted, a lot of the translations are done by what they call anons, so it's volunteers. But again, it's to put that all together and get that done into a thing like this is quite a feat, and this site has been live. It came up probably, I'd say, 6 or 7 months after the first few drops. This site came up. Let me talk. I actually looked at the WHOIS, and here's another thing which is quite interesting. So here you see what we call the WHOIS. That is, you can look up who is the domain registrant for that particular domain.
Yeah.
And here you can see it's redacted for privacy, redacted for privacy, redacted for privacy. And that's a common practice. I'm not gonna say that's necessary. But it's like everything is redacted for privacy, and then you can see the state or province is Washington, right? Then we'll look at something I did one comparatively for. Was this what time? Okay, so there you can at least see time. They put their organization, Time USA LLC. They've got some information around there. It's quite common to do that. So you don't. Most big corporates, most companies, most people, they would put that information in there. Even my own personal domains have got some of my information in there. It's kind of part and parcel for it.
Yeah.
It's to go to the extent to have everything hidden. You really want to not have people know who you are. You've really kind of like cleaning your traces, which is, should make people think about it, right?
But isn't there another side of the coin? Like maybe people could think, well, maybe they want to remain private because the stuff that they're putting out isn't true, and they don't want to be caught out. Of course.
I mean, that's a very valid argument, right? But why would you be spending probably upwards of $5,000, $6,000 a month? Because there's no ads on here.
That's true.
You can make a donation via Patreon or PayPal or crypto, but I doubt they're getting enough. I mean, now we can see there's 32,000 people online. Moment, I doubt they're getting that much in donations. They might have a certain amount. There's no real kind of indication where the money goes, who the developers are. You cannot get that information. It's very well obfuscated, very well obfuscated. Now, um, they're not making money from this, So there are some people that are making money from QAnon T-shirts and hats and mugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these guys aren't selling mugs or promoting T-shirts and I mean they have here a captive audience of 32,000 people. I mean if they had to drop a few ads in there, they would really get a reasonable amount of revenue, but they're not.
And perhaps that's one of the best arguments you could say, because mainstream media, when you go to an article, it's just littered with ads and click here and stuff like that.
I mean, even you go to CNN, I'm pretty sure you'll get some ad space, if not paid for articles.
Yeah, there's definitely paid for
videos.
articles.
Yeah, I mean,
when you go into the article, you'll see it.
Yeah.
So any article will have like some ads of something that you've recently searched or whatever. That will pop up eventually. And then there's also see like for example, those videos that are popping up now. There's always an ad before them.
It's like a TV ad that plays.
Yeah, and then there's like News 24 that will also have their little ads. I mean, you see it when you go on your phone as well.
And I get it though. I mean, I get it. I mean, I worked for a large media organization. They were in the business of making money from things, and making money in the digital space from a news source is hard. It's difficult because users don't want to pay for the content. So the moment you put up a paywall, you lose 90%, 95% of the traffic. That's just people are so used to the free, consume all you want kind of lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of have sympathy with these news outlets to a certain extent, but also not really. It's kind of is what it is.
Well,
but anyway,
that's what's with this website here. I mean, that's the first thing that struck me, is that there's no ads. It's just clean, simple information at your fingertips.
And it's fast.
It is fast. Yeah, it's very fast. I mean, to be able to type in one word and then boom. And these are tweets, articles, Facebook posts.
So let me explain what these are, right? So let's go into let's first go into, all right. So we've established kind of who is Q supposedly. We've established they're a group of military personnel that's disseminating information, and it doesn't tell you what to believe. It asks you questions. So they drop all these questions. Right? Anyway, so that is who it's supposed to be. Now let's go into how it's done. So it started off with the first drops on 4chan, right? So for those who don't know what the chans are, you've got 4chan and then 8chan, which was eventually taken down, and we'll delve into that maybe at another point, but then resurrected as 8kun, and has now managed to stay online. And it's all been directed attacks on the QAnon hosting, So the first drops was made on 4chan, and these are one of the last, what you would call, free speech internet spaces. So people post there. It's an anonymized image board, so you can post some text with an image usually, and that's kind of like the extent of it, or a GIF or a GIF, depending on how you want to pronounce it, or a web video. Obviously, loads of porn on there. And all kinds of stuff, you get, from the, it's just nasty stuff, there's gore, so it's absolute sort of free speech, people call each other, because it's anonymized, the most horrendous things. but it's free speech,
So
So there's
it's like the darker version of Twitter.
it's yeah, and it's nowhere near as neat or tidy. I mean, it's horrendous. I mean, when you look at the interface, it looks like something that coughed up from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's not very well done, but it serves a purpose, and it is hugely popular. It generally it's got a lot of anime and it's got a lot of political discussion. But anyway, that's besides the point. So your first drop was dropped on 4chan, and due to security related issues, it was then later changed to 8chan, which was a a slightly different version of a similar platform, right? Which is, and I'm just going to go to, so 8kun. 8kun is now what used to be 8chan, and 8chan was taken down because it hosted all of the Q posts. There was, they said there were other reasons why, but and the guys who run and host this thing, it's they've got some interesting connections. I'm not going to delve too much into that, but anyway, 8kun is also similar to 4chan. It's just more secure, and they use various ways. So when you make an anonymous post, you have a way of making sure that that post can always be recognizable that was posted by you. So they do it by what they call a trip code, right? A trip code is a type of password. It's generally very secure, and these sites, 8kun, they have, when I say severe security, there is no way that unless you know the password that you could pretend to be other than, and that is the whole reason why. So why 8chan and 8kun is used. It's simple. It's not censored. You're obviously just not allowed to post any child pornography, or anything that relates to that, and that, but aside from that, it's kind of like a free fall, and nobody but the board owner. So this is a particular board can post with a particular trip code or this thing, and Q only posts with a particular trip code, and at times he's done a trip code change because it may have gotten compromised, right? And then he would make a notification almost of that, sort of pre say there's a trip code change coming up, and then he would do a post with a confirmation or a proof of sorts to show that it is actually Q posting, right? And how those proofs work, that's also like another deeper discussion, but many of them contain things like a simple one is the anons requested of Q or from Q plus to use the words tippy top in a speech.
Tippy top.
Tippy top. Like tip top.
Tip top
okay. Shape. Tippy.
Yeah.
Like tippy top, right?
Okay.
And a few days later, and I think it was around Easter, and I think it was Easter 2018, Trump made a speech with this big white rabbit standing right next to him, and he said something along, and it's in the proof somewhere. But then he basically said we're in tip top shape. Some would say tippy top shape. So he and so there's a lot of these little things that has happened subsequently as what they call Q proofs. Some of them a little bit more far-fetched. Some of them you can, it gets to, so that, and Q on numerous occasions have posted the question, how many coincidences do you believe in?
It's a good question.
It's a good thing, So how many coincidences will it take for you to go, okay, well, now it's just mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
It's just where now you go. So if you hit like a let's say a 90%, 95%, like this is correct, boom, 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 time after time, And you're going to go, okay, is it all just coincidence? And that is where the post started off with something quite sensational. It made this whole thing that Hillary was arrested, and and which obviously at that time everyone is just like, she needs to be in jail, she needs to be in jail, and that's how I think a lot of Americans felt, and what they call the silent majority. And it's call it for what it is. My view was during 2015, 2016, she had such a hard on to go to war with Russia because of the whole Syria thing. So had she come into power, without a doubt, there would have been a war with Russia or some skirmish with Russia of some sort.
Yes.
I've got no doubt in my mind. So anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah.
So obviously there was quite a sensationalist post, but then corrected with the following post saying she's not been arrested, but sort of detained to a certain degree, and there's been a lot of speculation, that Hillary has been at times been sort of under surveillance, constant tracking, wearing ankle monitors, and that kind of stuff. And this all stems from the Anthony Weiner laptop.
Yes, Pizzagate.
Yeah, which, and this is again, people say Pizzagate is, the crazy conspiracy theory, but again, how many coincidences does it take before you go, okay, what, maybe there's something there. I'm not saying it's real, I'm not saying it's not. It's for you to decide for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's get back to this. So I, at least from a technical perspective, I have delved into this thing, and it is exceptionally well done. From the content that has been dropped over the past 3 years, right? And I mean, this is, you see here, this is dropped 3,968. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit. So there you see. So there's been, to date, there's been, in the past 3 years, 3,968 what we call information bits. Now, let's quickly do a cal here. If you do that, 3,968 divided, let's just work on over 3 years. It's an average of 1,322 drops per year divided by 365. You're looking at about 3.6 Intel drops per day, every day for the past 3 years.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information. So anyone that goes, that says Q is a LARP, or as he says, I dare you, just go and start reading some of the stuff and go answer some of these questions yourself. Don't believe what anybody else says. Just start at drop 1. And I know, if you're fresh to this, it's going to take you a long time to catch up. But once you start catching up and you start cross-referencing things like sealed indictments, and I'll go through what you can see on the site, because there's quite a lot in this site. And if you know how to navigate this, you can get a pretty clear picture of what's happening, So if you are looking for proofs, is Q real? Then you can start off by the, proofs of memes. And there are, pages and pages, and, each and every one kind of like explaining itself how the proof is done, right? So I'm not gonna go and break down one by one. But if people at some point in time want to go do that, by all means. There's a section here called the prayer wall. So obviously, whoever put this together, they definitely have a belief spiritual side to it. So you can actually enter a prayer here, for Q and the team. So there's, which is something different. I've never really kind of like encountered that.
Yeah, that is different.
Then there's quite an interesting thing is global themes. So here what they've done is they take various themes and they've grouped them, and then all the posts that relate to this theme. So if we go everything that is COVID related, you can go see what has been posted where there is references or an implied reference to COVID, right?
Sure.
So I mean, the amount of information in here is absolutely astronomical. It's just it's mind-boggling how much is in here, right?
Hold on.
Um,
I gotta ask, man. I'm itching to find out. So you said now that if you want to find something on COVID, you just gotta search it, right? So I did a video where I wouldn't say I made fun. I rewrote the lyrics to "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I called it "Smells Like COVID-19." Would you find that
mhm.
on here?
What in terms of what's
Like if you
like stuff
put,
that you did?
yeah, like if you put in "Smells Like
No,
COVID-19." No, okay.
no. It doesn't do like a global search of the internet of stuff, So it doesn't go out to the public domain.
Okay.
It's this is curated specific posts that has been done by Q. So of those 3,900 something posts,
Mm-hmm.
if they're related, say for instance, to the Uranium One deal or the Uranium One scandal, depending on how you want to look at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then there is a group of, and there are 82 posts that currently relate to Uranium One.
I see. Okay.
Now, so that is how you can navigate this, and that what it's basically doing is again, I am assuming they probably have something like Elasticsearch, which allows you to do um, uh, text indexing
Mm-hmm.
and contextualized text indexing, so you can add all kinds of tags and attributes and all kinds of things to it. Which means the people that built things are
Yeah.
very technical, and they know what the hell they're doing, right? And um, this is not a um, again, this is a huge amount of work to get done. Just get you. Why is this thing hanging now? And see, no, it's on 35,000.
Yeah.
So, in terms of how to read it, the best way to start is to just start with the first drop and kind of just follow the story. Just read it like a storybook, because that's probably, if you're really that far behind, if you're gonna have to start with, kind of post one, or if you want to catch the highlight reel, then go and find videos that's been made about, and there's a couple of guys that I follow online on Twitter, that make and on YouTube that make some good content. Of course, either my internet is dog slow, or they need to scale their servers. There we go.
Okay. So, in short, this band of people that are
Mm.
basically, for all intents and purposes, trying to put genuine
Intel.
intel out there, um,
Mm.
that are probably well connected and obviously very intelligent and know what they're doing in terms of programming or development
Mm.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They just say, I know on his Twitter, maybe I think you mentioned it, like he'll ask a question and then he wants people to go and research that topic.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So
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 he doesn't
Q the Q
necessarily, yeah, he doesn't
the Q
necessarily
doesn't
say like,
post.
oh, it's like
Yeah.
this.
The Q doesn't post anywhere but on 8kun.
Oh, okay.
So he only posts there. What this other site does, it scrapes the content from 8kun and 8chan and before that, and then it caches it. So it's quite a it's quite a it's quite a thing that they've done,
Mm.
and they've managed to scrape it accurately. They managed to catalog it exceptionally well. They store and cache images, so in case it gets lost, So just from a storage perspective, space, like it's a huge operation.
It is.
And somebody's spending a lot of money making sure that this information is accessible,
Mm.
right? Now, And that's where you should kind of ask yourself why. You know, and this is, people say, it's a right-wing cult. It's not. This is arguably the only cult that doesn't tell you what to think.
Yeah.
It kind of asks you questions, and you have to go figure it out for yourself. Now, people will go look at a lot of these posts, and they'll look at some of the questions, and they'll start answering them. And what we will call anons will start sharing information. And so what's happened is there is, and what they call, McHugh's called it a digital army. And there is arguably hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people around the world that follow Q and QAnon. So if you go on Twitter and you follow just the hashtag, let me just see, it's WWG1WGA. Now that sounds weird, right? And that stands for Where We Go One, We Go All. It's quite a nice,
okay.
right? So and if you look at, there's been rallies in France where there are people that wear QAnon shirts and Where We Go One, We Go hashtags. So a lot of people won't know, but the people who know what it is will recognize. And a lot of there are, it's in France, in Belgium, in Sweden. It is a global movement, and as Q has indicated on some of his posts, is that the size and the volume of people that are actually following this, most people don't have a clue. And I can, and the reason why is because very few people openly speak about it.
Yes.
Right? Because you get called, oh, you're a Trump tard, or you're a Q tard, or you're a this, and you go, dude, I'm an intelligent person.
Yeah.
I build complex software systems. I've worked in banking, I've worked in I've worked in I'm not an idiot, right? I can tell when something has got merit to it or when something doesn't. So and I can tell you now, I have met in the small little outback parts of Sedgefield and Neisner, where there's not a lot of, but there's a lot of retired corporate people. You get a lot of corporate retired, and you get a lot of tech guys down there. The amount of people there that are from big corporate backgrounds that follow this and have analyzed the information from a geopolitical, because there's a lot of geopolitical information in here. So the whole deal with North Korea, the whole deal with Trump and Kim, right? Those who were following Q knew the deal was going to be made. So when the mainstream media was going to say, oh, it's going to cause third world war, because of Trump's tweet, we knew it was just to set the media off, because we knew the deal was done already. By that time, when he made that tweet, that was quite an explosion, where the whole mainstream media lost their absolute shit. By that time, the deal with North Korea was already made. Right? He's the first president to walk into the DMZ.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
right?
true.
So there's a lot of these geopolitical information bits that and call us the Q-tards, that the Q-tards knew about before the rest of, before it. And what happened was there World War III fallout with North Korea? No.
Do you think that one of the reasons why people may not know about QAnon is because it sounds like you have to have a lot of time on your hands to follow all the trail and research and all that stuff, which obviously a lot of people don't have the time for. They're focused on family, they're focused on jobs, they want to make a living. So I from what it sounds like, it's it you need time to do it, and I think that maybe people just did it maybe
It's a
5-10 minutes a day would even help, maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Look, there's a lot of other content that you can consume, so that you can start off with just to kind of what, you'd call a background, an intro. There's loads of video content. There's loads of 10-minute videos, hour-long videos, people doing discussions kind of like what we do. I haven't seen any discussions talking about the tech aspect of how the things are put together. I haven't seen anyone sort of addressing that yet. So that's why I felt maybe that would be like a novel discussion. Um, but other than that, it is a massive, massive, massive volume of information that you have to work through, and then you're talking about going through articles, going through executive orders, going through journal reports, from mainstream outlets and some from not so mainstream outlets, looking at tweets and who the people are, and then looking at sometimes you'd be directed to go look at a company's board of directors, and that kind of stuff. So you actually go and verify all of the information yourself with information that is available in the public domain and that is true and correct, that people won't falsify, it's that kind of stuff. So the things like looking at the number of CEOs that has resigned in the last period of, and under what conditions, there's a much broader, much deeper, much more dubious element to this, when you start going down, what they call the rabbit hole, when you start touching on the topics of adrenochrome, and that in the whole itself is like a topic that you can talk about for like hours and hours.
Yeah.
Right. But it's definitely a fascinating, and I'm still going to call it a conspiracy, because as with these things, there's no definitive proof, So, and here's the interesting thing: is no mainstream media outlet has ever asked Trump what they call ask the Q. So they haven't asked him, "Are you aware or are you a part of Q?" Right? Because it is one of those moves that will, if he confirms it, right, then it has, it will basically, it will annihilate them right then and there.
Yeah.
Because of everything that is dropped right at this point in time, and everything points to it that is in on it. There's pictures that's been dropped from inside of the White House that you couldn't have gotten if you weren't right there at that point in time, at that, so from very interesting angles with reflections and things, so photos taken on Air Force One that could only have been taken by somebody that's exceptionally close to Donald Trump.
Yes, absolutely. Do you think it's Donald? Do you think like he's the big guy? Because it did start after his presidency, so that's a very interesting question to ask.
Well, the overarching theory is this, right? Is that the election process has been rigged for a very long time. So the last real sort of popular democratically elected president was JFK. That's according to the sort of, ever since then it's been sort of a planned succession. If you can, and every president since then has been sort of related to one another, either as a cousin, a second cousin, etc. You've heard these kind of things, and you can follow each other.
Yeah.
So, and we've all heard of the one world government, this plan for a new world order, and we've seen this, the slow, over a period of years, the slow sort of conglomeration of powers, first the Eurozone, and then you get these various sort of large areas that sort of group together, and then sort of, you get these heavy bureaucratic systems, etc., and then tries to, so whether you believe in that or not is kind of irrelevant, but we kind of do see now a reverse of that. Brexit, the Eurozone, to my personal perspective, I think is slowly but surely falling apart. And most of the people in Europe, some of my friends that I've spoken to that live in Europe, a lot of, again, the silent majority is kind of like they're sitting there, yeah, we kind of agree, because there are inherently cultural differences between the Germans and the Italians. There are inherent cultural differences between, I mean, this. I mean, it's not racist to say that the Italians and Germans are different, because they just are different.
Yeah,
And I dig the way the Italians work. I mean, they take a 2-hour lunch. I freaking love it. And then they go have some wine and pasta, and but then they work until 7. So so you can't have the same economic and financial policies where you have such vast different cultural approaches to life. That's just my view, and that is why I think people are not opposed to having good trade agreements. People aren't opposed to having good agreements within labors and having travel and that kind of stuff. But British people do things a certain way, American people do things a certain way, and even though within the US, you have Texans do certain things a certain way. And then you have, even within Texas, you have counties that do things a certain way. People are very cultural in that kind of sense. But we're kind of veering off topic, but to kind of come back to it, this is a kind of putting a stop to that globalization project. If you look at all of the executive orders that Trump has undone, that he's ratified, that he's changed up, it is all to kind of break out from this globalist. I mean, even if you look today, like the announcement to defund the WHO.
Yes.
My personal view is, I think you're going to see a much more heavier American focus 2020, and that's why he's going to win by a landslide.
Yes,
I have no doubt. Yeah, and as long as they get over this whole virus thing and they get voter ID sorted out, I think you'll see a landslide. Like, you'll just have red. I think that the Democratic Party is heading for a complete and utter implosion. And I think it's kind of being done, they're being shown for who they are.
Yes.
Because if you had to attack them direct, it would be seen as a political attack.
Yeah.
And this comes back to game theory, which is another interesting topic. And this is where this is a military plan, and Donald Trump is a participant.
Okay.
So this is a military plan that's been in the making for the past 20 years, and Donald Trump was basically asked to run. And sure, he's not a perfect guy, right? But if you go look at, they asked Julian Assange, why haven't you done a damaging article where it uses on Donald Trump? And he said, because there isn't any.
Yeah.
So these are some interesting theories. But again, people should just go make up their own minds. There is a hell of a lot of information to digest. And I suppose if people have questions, maybe they can fire off now. If we have people watching still by now.
No, we don't have a lot of viewers. There is one viewer. You can ask a question, viewer, if you're interested. But I think, look, like I told you before, I had a bit of background with the QAnon, and now I'm a little bit more clued up with what it is, how it works, all that stuff. And there's some very interesting things you brought up, and I'm definitely, maybe I'll every now and again check the information. But I told you I already have a source that does that for me, so I'll just ask that person.
Yeah, your source is very close.
Yeah, so I think the things that he does kind of bring to the forefront, if I can say that, it's thought provoking. That's what it is. I don't want anyone to think that this is some crazy organization, even though it's being labeled as one, obviously by the mainstream media. It's go, like Werner says, go there, go yourself, check it out. Yes, it might look a bit daunting with all the information that's there, but just choose a theme, choose one thing. Choose one. Start
Mm.
with a theme, whether it be the virus or the what you mentioned, the Kim and Donald Trump thing. Whatever it is, just choose a theme, get lost in that theme, see what you come up with. I think for the most part, it is very,
Yeah,
very
I
interesting.
think of it as an exciting story, like a
Yes.
little detective game,
Yeah.
and that was my approach. I kind
Yeah.
of took it to it like this is like a little real life detective story, like you used to play Cluedo,
Yeah. Exactly.
but it's just much more complicated.
Well, again, if they start with the website, it's that website
It's
does
a start.
simplify to a certain degree. It makes, like you said, it makes it much easier for that information to be at your fingertips. So it limits the amount of some of the research you have to do. Obviously, there's other research that needs to be done, but at least you can get what do you call it, a drop in front of you and be like, okay, cool. So that's what that says. Let me go see this. Let me go see that. Wow. Okay, I can see a bigger picture, and that's again what it's all about. It's about getting that bigger picture, which is so important when you know. And I think I'm kind of scared to say this, but I'm going to say it. Um, there are a lot of people out there, especially on Twitter, that will ram things down your throat. Like, oh, you got to be this. You can't say this. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that.
Mm,
Label you immediately and
mm,
stuff like that. But the moment you argue with them and have a valid point, they dodge it by either insulting you. And I always say, if
yeah,
someone on Twitter insults you during an argument, you've won the argument because that's
yeah.
their final
And it's
thing.
just it takes patience, right? It
Yeah.
takes patience, because I sit here, and people will say, "Oh, you're a cute tart," and I go, "My friend, I have spent a phenomenal amount of time
Mm. Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
validating, verifying. Yeah, I run my own software business.
Mm.
I do complex things. I kind of know how the world works.
Yeah.
So
It's
I would encourage people just to start questioning for themselves. It can be a lot of work. It can be daunting, but
mm.
there are loads of people like myself.
Mm.
I'm just a bit more vocal about it.
Yeah.
You know, um, I remember way back when the whole cannabis legalization thing started, and I started questioning things. I started just posting things on Facebook, and I had a very vocal opinion about it. And everyone said, "Ah, you're batshit crazy. It's never going to be legalized. If you just watch, man, it's going to happen one day. It's going to, people will be able to grow their own stuff. At first will be like, just kind of like your own until they can figure out like a regulatory framework, and then they'll kind of find some way. But eventually, the thing will be, kind of like tomatoes. That's how we want it. You must be able to get, and it's getting there. It
Yeah.
takes time, right? And the same with this. If you if you have enough information on certain things, right, and you can back up and validate that information,
Exactly.
not just from one or multiple sources,
Yeah.
that the validity of that information only gets stronger.
Yeah.
So if you come to me and you say, "Oh, you're just a cute dog, you just this," then I'm not gonna waste my breath on you. I'm
Yes.
not gonna waste my time with you, because it just shows you've immediately thrown up a wall
Exactly.
without even to, so your mind is closed.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to have a discussion with you.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When you do proper research, you become a little bit more open minded. I've
Hmm.
always said that I can easily sit with someone, and I think this is important for everyone to kind of like try and live this way. You don't have to accept what everyone says for what you want to do and how you do it, blah blah blah. You definitely don't have to accept, but you're a little bit more I don't want to say intelligent. That's not the word. You're a little bit more. I don't
It's not
know.
about intellect.
Yeah,
It's general knowledge, right?
the moment you have
It's just.
the knowledge, the moment you have understanding. So if you and I disagreed with, let's say you were EFF and I was DA, right?
Mm,
And you and I had a massive discussion about that, for example, right? And we all know DA, EFF, they're like on the opposite side of the spectrum. I would like to believe that I can sit down with you and understand why you think the way you do,
mm,
understand
mm.
your philosophies, your ideologies, your whatever. But just because I sit with you and I have that discussion doesn't mean I have to accept what you say, and the
Mm.
same vice versa. It's kind of like that. I agree to disagree, but at least if I know my stuff, I know your stuff. I know your
Yeah.
argument very well. You know my argument very well. We can
And
have an honest debate.
absolutely. And
That's what it's
I'm
about.
still open to being convinced or converted to the fact that
Yeah.
QAnon is an absolute lie. All
Mm.
right.
Mm.
But then you're going to have some very strong points to raise and say, okay, this is why I think it is. And then I'm going to rebut, okay, but here's
Yeah.
my counter to that.
Yeah.
And as of yet, I haven't encountered anyone that's been able to, aside from hurling insults, be able to make any form of rational argument as to why you cannot at least consider it.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of, I like to take that kind of view. You like the MythBusters approach. You
Yes.
know, when they say, is it plausible, or is it a myth,
Mm.
or is it possible? So and I would say I'm 99.9% sold that this is what it is to be. And so and that's why a lot of the information that I've gleaned from this, I've been able to see play out in geopolitics before it happens. So okay, well that's not a surprise. Okay, well that's not a surprise, and all this. Okay, that so you get, and that's kind of where you go. Okay, well the information is legitimate.
Mm.
Things like Michael Avenatti.
Mm.
So if you don't even know who that is, then you can't even begin to have the debate.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people will just regurgitate the mainstream media because that's what they heard and they believe that. And they won't bother to do any research. Now, I'm not saying that everybody must go and just research for the rest of your life until you're like, your eyes are bleeding. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, whatever side of the spectrum you are, if you're going to debate someone, like if you're going to call someone out, you better have your argument backed up well, because, and it's again why in comedy I don't talk about politics, because while I might have an opinion on politics, especially in South Africa, I definitely don't know enough, because I'm always scared. Like, I know myself, I don't know quite enough to be able to just on the fly remember an article or whatever, or evidence to support. I
Yeah.
know that I haven't researched enough. I haven't dived into it enough. I know enough to know who to vote for and who not to vote for, and that's about it. So yeah, it's. I just want people to understand that we're not telling you that you have to go and search this. We're just talking about the idea and the principle that when you meet someone who you want to label as a Trump tard, or what was the Q one,
Or Q-tard.
yeah, Q
Even
tard,
even calling people libtards, and like,
yeah, there's
I don't agree with that kind of usage, because that's not how we're going to win friends and
yeah,
get people, or at least meet people halfway, because we don't have to agree.
exactly,
That's my view as well. You don't have to get along. You
yeah,
just stay out of each other's way.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's there are people that we're not gonna like in this world. It's just that's just gonna happen. You don't even have to
You'd
speak to the
think
person.
you'd think we're like touching on 8 billion people, that that somewhere you might find somebody that disagrees with you.
No, we must all get along. Uh,
It's all good. Yeah.
Obviously, that's
In
going to
fact,
happen.
we shall make it a law.
Yes, socialism.
Ah,
All right, so we've done an hour.
yeah.
I will, obviously, this is out there for people to watch eventually. I think it's a very good
Mm,
introduction to where we want to go. The
mm,
QAnon is a very broad spectrum, and what we will do from here is anybody that's watching and that wants to can obviously go and check and verify what we have discussed. If there is something else you want us to talk about, like a topic like, let's say, 9/11, JFK, aliens, that would be a
Or the
topic.
porn industry.
The porn
I mean, we could talk
industry.
a lot about the porn industry. I've done hours and hours of research.
Wait,
Hours,
I
hours,
don't
and
know. I don't know what you mean by that.
No, actually, to be fair, I've actually like looked into the sociology and the psychology behind it, and some of it's actually some of it's quite disturbing. But I mean, um, that's a topic
I feel
for
like
another
you're
day.
leaving an interesting tidbit there for people to comment. So let me know. Actually, don't say any more. Comment below. Let us know if you want to know more about the porn industry. And I'm pretty sure you don't mean like watching alone.
No, no, no. I mean,
Yeah.
like actually, like it's quite a fascinating thing to look at how the industry in itself has changed technology, for argument's sake. But I mean, we can look at that, and it's again, that's the kind of stuff, it's when you take a broad interest in data and all things tech and just about anything really, some like I don't sleep much, so I just read and read and research and read and read and research.
When you said I
So,
don't sleep much and you're talking about porn, I was like, hey.
let me put it this way. At some point in time, you've seen all the porn you can see, and then you start watching reruns, you know, and then you start drifting into like the weird side of like
No,
the like
man.
the like the odd categories. You go, how did I get here? How did I? And then you start digging into the psychology of the people that do this kind of stuff, man. And it's like this.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to know more about that subject, please do let us know in the comment if there's another topic, because that's what this show is about. We want to sit down, be thought provoking, make you think about what you think you might know. Vanner is really going to be the expert during the show because he's done extensive research on everything, and I'm very intrigued by his mind and what he knows. So I'm also asking questions and keeping an open mind. Some episodes might be very but others might be So we'll see what happens, and we're definitely going to do this as often as we can. So, like I said, comment. Let us know what topic you would like us to talk about next. Thank you, Vanner, for doing this with me. It's been hell of a lot of fun and very, very,
Mm,
very eye opening. I'll give you like that was very
yeah,
eye opening. I was very
and we
interested.
and we haven't even started to talk about the content yet.
Wow. Well, that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier, the content is very broad. I mean, you flip. We can
Yeah,
go
yeah,
in
no,
any
yeah,
direction.
and I think now is the time to actually talk about a lot of these things, especially
Mm,
from a South African context,
yeah.
because it does. This is what a lot of people don't understand. What happens in the US affects the world,
Mm,
whether you like it or not.
mm,
It's just what it is.
mm,
And it does affect us.
mm,
What's happening there, especially the human trafficking side of it,
mm.
which is quite a dark,
Yes.
it's a dark and it's a sad topic.
Yes.
It's part of the reason why I don't sleep. For a lot it's this kind of stuff keeps you up at night.
Yes.
You
No,
know,
absolutely.
I'm generally a very humoristic individual, but there is this side of the world which is pretty messed up,
Mm,
and I think it's time that we talk about these things. And
absolutely.
it's uncomfortable topics. It's like talking about being fisted. you know it's an uncomfortable topic
Yeah.
because nobody wants to think about that.
Yeah.
But
No.
we have to discuss it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
at some point in
absolutely.
time. And it's see, Joe's already like, see, like I can see you like
No, you
clenching on
just
your chair right.
no. It's just you said fisting, and now that's all I'm thinking about right now, and it's not comfortable.
It is. You see what I'm saying? These are some very uncomfortable topics.
No, but
um
that's the point of this show. This show is supposed to be thought provoking, and that's what we're going to do. You don't have to watch it if you don't like it, but you might find an episode that you do like. So hopefully,
yeah,
you'll enjoy.
sometimes we'll use lube and sometimes we won't use lube. Sometimes, it's just how it is. I mean, nobody's watching at this point in time anyway. I mean, people have stopped watching by this point. If they're watching this like all fisting loop, that's then by all means.
We're just having fun. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think you can stop recording. I'm gonna say goodbye, bye to people, and then we can still riff after the just talk
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Werner Weber and myself, Joey Emilio. Remember, donations are open until tomorrow. So even if you're watching this after we're done being live, you can still donate. We split it 50-50 after the proceeds. And again, please comment. Please comment. Let us know what topics you'd like us to talk about. Let us know what you thought of this video. Do you want us to elaborate more on QAnon? Would you like us to delve more into what he does, or what the organization does, or the intelligence does? What more do you want to know, if anything at all? But I think we're probably going to talk about the. I'm already uncomfortable saying this. Porn. Maybe sex sells. That's all I know. That's what I know.
In the world.
You heard it from Banner, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in, those of you that watched. We'll see you when we see you. Cheers.